Joe Flacco is an absolute wizard.
Fake and throw. Flacco wide open. Touchdown, Njoku. What a statement by the Browns.
Joe Flacco.
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 Fake the handoff. Flacco. Deep shot on first down. Looking for the big play. And it's caught by Cooper. Bootleg. Flacco sets. Throws. Looking for separation. It's caught. Amari Cooper. Down the sideline for the touchdown.
The resurgence of Joe Flacco has quite literally been impossible. From going 3-14 in his post-Ravens career to now being 4-1 and the hottest QB in the league, today I'm going to break down how January Joe has been so successful in Cleveland and why this last stretch of games has been no fluke. Flacco is playing on house money, and honestly, just as a football fan, whether you like Joe or not, you have to admit that this is a cool story. He was sitting on his couch at home just over a month ago, and Cleveland was the only phone call he got, and now he is gearing them up for a potential run to the Super Bowl. Alright, so before I get into this video, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind, and your support truly does mean everything. So Flacco has been in the NFL since 2008 and has put together a great career, but since 2019, his age was starting to show and he was no longer a top of the line quarterback. He was just doing everything he could to keep his career alive. He played 11 seasons with Baltimore, 1 brief year in Denver, and then 3 with the Jets. And then of course, he was out of football for a bit before Andrew Berry gave him the call. He truly was the Browns' last hope, and I'm not even sure when they got him if they intended for him to be the starter. I just thought he was going to be a player coach for DTR, but boy was I completely wrong. And when DTR was out to a concussion and the Browns had nobody left against the Rams, Flacco got the start. And even though Cleveland lost that game, it was actually one of their worst defensive performances of the year. And this offense was looking so much different than before with Flacco under center. He was spraying the football all over the field and all the playmakers were finally getting involved. So even after a loss, this was honestly the best Browns fans were feeling at the end of a game yet this whole season. The Browns set the record for being the first team ever to make the playoffs using 4 QBs or more, so they've dealt with so much adversity this year, and it just feels like things are meant to be. And they're starting to get some of the guys on the IR back like Okoronkwo, and that is going to be a huge boost. Anyways, getting back to Joe Flacco, like I was saying, he hasn't just been good over the last 5 games, he's been one of the best QBs in the league. And there's an argument to be made that he's actually been the best. He's put up over 1,600 yards in just 5 games, and really the only knock on him is that he has 8 interceptions. But that's going to happen when you're a risk taker, and he needs to keep slinging it. And in the playoffs, the Browns have the defense to make up for his mistakes. They just rarely allow touchdowns. And like I was talking about earlier, Flacco has developed a chemistry with the playmakers that they haven't had all season, and I'm especially referring to Amari Cooper and David Njoku. Cooper had a breakout game and season record-setting performance against Houston, and Joe was dotting him up all game long, and he was making some ridiculous plays. And Njoku of course was the showstopper against the Jets to clinch the playoffs. It's just been great to see Njoku come alive as of late, because over the last 2 years, everyone could see that the talent was there, but it just took the right QB to get him the ball. And another thing that Flacco also brings to this team is a calming presence because of his experience. Like he even himself brought up a funny point the other day that he could be the dad of some of the players on this team. That's how young the roster is, and I just feel like his presence alone is going to help these guys in the big stage so much, and that's without how good he is himself. I'm not a believer in the theories that sports are scripted, but if they somehow are, then the NFL couldn't have wrote a better one for the Browns this season, besides all the terrible injuries of course. And if things do line up, there's a good chance that Flacco could head into Baltimore in the 2nd round, and can you imagine him knocking them out? And it's actually not a stretch at all to say it can happen. I've heard so many Ravens fans say how this is all a cool story, but nobody truly realizes how dangerous and complete this Browns team is right now. But anyways, Cleveland needs to take this one game at a time, and Flacco obviously knows that, and one thing I haven't talked about yet that is one of the main reasons why Flacco has been able to perform like this late in his career is because of his unreal arm strength. He just zips the ball around the field so effortlessly, and he's done it throughout his whole life. And he also just has a natural knack for putting a ton of touch on his throws. He rarely overthrows and almost never underthrows. And who would have thought he and the Browns would be in the position when he came into town where he can rest in week 18 against the Bengals. But that's just how things unfolded, and they handled business when they had to, whether the games were in wild fashion or not. The Browns and Kevin Stefanski came into this season with a ton of pressure, and all their chips were in the Deshaun Watson basket. And me personally, I believed in him. And in all honesty, he wasn't bad at all in the games he played in. He definitely did show some rust, but he went 5-1 and of course led Cleveland to that epic comeback win against the Ravens. But then the next day, it was announced that he played with basically a broken shoulder and would be out for the rest of the season. And that is of course why the Browns had to use DTR and Walker so much this season before they signed Joe. That's really all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and also let me know what you would like to see next, because there's just so much to talk about right now across sports. And until then, I will see you all later.